Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for joining in. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is Stephen Twitch Boss. We know he committed suicide. He was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He was like a dancer, producer, what people considered as, well put together and got his life together, got money, all of this stuff. Him and his wife just celebrated their 9th anniversary. It was about a week and a half before Christmas. And then he caught an Uber up the street, checked into this hotel. He only had one bag, only staying for one night. When he checked in, they said he was pleasant. He didn't seem stressed, didn't seem like he had any, issues. They didn't see anybody in the hotel with him. And the next morning, he didn't check out. And so his wife had filed a police report because she's like, he left the house, the car's still here, but there's no sign of him. So she filed a police report. And then, of course, the hotel called the ambulance, and then they confirmed that it was him in the hotel. And they said that he left a suicide note. Now, of course, people be speculating like, nah, he didn't really commit suicide. But they did investigate it, and they did say it was suicide. He left a note. Some have speculated that it was finances where he had made a bad investment and had lost a lot of money, which kind of lends to like, okay, well, that's believable. And I'm not saying that that's why he did it, because there's really nobody really knows, because they haven't released a suicide note yet. But that's plausible. Especially if him and his wife just had his anniversary celebration. You're spending money on that. I just think that's believable because it's right before Christmas.
Right.
And you have a lot of expectations, especially from kids, and people got an expectation from you. That's a lot on your shoulder. And a lot of times we just don't know how to handle that pressure because we don't want to disappoint people that we love. And you don't know how to relay, I just don't have it. But this is one thing I did want to say. According to the CDC stats, in 2020, 45,979 people died of suicide. So there was an average of one person for every 11 minutes that was committing suicide. It says 2 million people have thought about suicide. So 3.2 million made plans to commit suicide. 1.2 million attempted suicide. So 12.2 million people considered killing themselves.
I just had a conversation with my wife. She was a little upset because of the hours I spend at work. And I understand, I get it. I wasn't justifying my work the way I work, but sometimes it's that pressure to provide, because I've been broke. I've been broke, and I told her, I said, I've been broke while we was married and you never knew I was broke.
Right.
Because I never said anything. I've been behind on every bill while we were married, but I never said anything. I work and catch. Right. And I'm ahead right now, thank God I'm ahead, and I'm just trying to stay ahead.
But you had to sacrifice. You had to sacrifice to get ahead.
Yeah, I had, and I had to suffer. I had to sacrifice and suffer. Yeah. So I can't speak for why, this young man committed suicide, but, I understand the pressure to provide. I get that. I guess when people hit a certain status, they don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I don't get the suicide of it, but I understand the pressure, because suicide's never been on the table for me.
Yeah. But 12.2 million, that's just the people that reported. There's people that have thought about it that haven't reported it. And going back to the man's responsibility and the man feeling responsible, I think it's unfair in a sense, because there's so much pressure on men. Like if the wife decides that she wants to quit her job, then the husband is supposed to allow her to quit that job. And I understand that, that's kind of how it was, back in the day. But if the wife wants to live a certain way, then, like
you got to work together.
You got to work. Thank you, kid. You got to work. If you want to live a certain lifestyle, you've got to work together. And so I don't think it's fair to put that responsibility all on the man. If the wife wants a certain lifestyle, either your husband is going to be at work all the time, because he's working 2 or 3 jobs to maintain this lifestyle, or y'all gonna have to work together, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if I want nice things, I don't mind working for it. If it's a partnership, it's got to be a partnership. And we're going to have to just kind of have some realistic conversations on what we can do, what we can't do. Because it's depressing. If you can't pay your bills, it's depressing. And you can be like, you know what? I can't do it no more. I'm done. I don't have to live up to y'all standards. And people say that's the easy way out. I don't really say that's the easy way out, though. If you're depressed enough, you're not even really thinking logically.
I know somebody like that right now. I talk to them twice a week, but they're not thinking logically.
Yeah.
It's still, like I said, it's ways out of that.
Yeah, unless you realize you can't do it when it's just too late. So, all right, y'all got anything else on that before I move on? All right, so let's talk about Takeoff. There is so much going on that's crazy with this whole situation. So he was in Houston. Him and Quavo, who's, part of the Migos, was in Houston shooting dice. So they was playing for money. But Takeoff wasn't even playing dice. They had this it was a lucrative amount of money on the table. Quavo was losing. Quavo started an argument. And then the guy pulls out a gun. Basically, it started shooting in the crowd. They hit Takeoff. They found the guy. His name is Patrick Xavier. At first, they said Brown, but then they came back and said Clark. So I don't know if he had like 2 names, if he's got his dad's name at some point. I'm not really sure. They call him DJ Pat. So he was arrested for the shooting. The police said they arrested him because of surveillance, cell phone video clips, and because at the shooting, he was holding a wine bottle and they got his fingerprints off that wine bottle. And so they pointed to him. He says he's innocent. The lawyer is saying that it's going to be proven that it was some type of self-defense. The judge set the bond for $2 million. The lawyer kind of worked with the judge and saying, hey, that's too much, because you got to do this 10% down. So I guess that would have been, $200K. So she's saying, hey, they're from a humble family. They don't have that type of money. And so the judge is like, he's going to be a flight risk. That's why I'm setting it so high, because right after the shooting, he actually filed to get a expedited passport trying to go to Mexico. So anyway, so they're like, no, he's a flight risk. He also searched his name on Google to see if he was listed as a suspect. Now, it was 2 guys that was doing the shooting, but he was the one that allegedly shot the bullet that killed Takeoff. He was shot in like his head or somewhere near his head and his back. So the lawyer talked to the judge. They lowered the bond to $1 million. They lowered it to $1 million. So that's $100K down that they got to put down. But there's a phone record that the guy was in jail. He was talking to somebody when they had it at $2 million. And he was like, I got the bond for the $2 million. So like, I can go ahead and pay the bond for the $2 million. So the lawyer is just like, no, he was talking too much. He was doing too much talking. He doesn't have that money. But here's the kicker. They found a large sum of money on him. He was getting ready to go to Mexico, right? Now, his dad said, listen, he ain't got no job. He DJs. He works at nightclubs, but he ain't making no money. He still lives with us. He didn't have enough money to go to Mexico. He don't have that type of money. He ain't got nothing. He ain't had no job. He's financially unstable. This is what the dad is saying. However, he had a large sum of money on him at the time that they arrested him. That's why people are saying it was an inside job. Because if he ain't got no money and he's financially unstable, I mean, that could be motivation for somebody that's desperate enough. If somebody said, hey, I got a gig for you. Another reason why people are saying it was an inside job is recently the Migos had a song called Messy. And in that song, Takeoff is like in this building and there's some people are outside trying to like get his attention, and he's walking through this building. He goes upstairs. Quavo is on the bed with a gun with the Migos contract. And they said that there was some issues around that contract where somebody wasn't really like, not really feeling it. I don't know the details on that. Anyway, so in the video, Quavo's on the bed. He has a Migos contract. He has a gun. He's stressed out over this contract or whatever. There's a girl in the bed with him. When Takeoff gets to the room, he sees this. He basically takes off his sweatshirt and he gets in the bed. Then when he comes down, everything is fine. So the house is clean. Like there's no more issues. which some people like, okay, so he basically is saying he sold his soul. He got into bed with the devil. In the video, it talks about something going down at 2:30 in the morning. And he got shot around 2:30 in the morning. So I can see why people are saying it was an inside job. But let's just talk about Biggie and Tupac. Did we ever solve that murder?
No.
I mean,
No.
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 No. Kelly Clarkson was on the show with Kevin Hart, and she said, I can't believe that I have been offered millions of dollars just to do something I didn't want to do. Has that ever happened to you? And Kevin was like, hush, little baby, don't say a word. He was like, mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Oh, wait, one more thing. With the guy, Patrick Clark, he didn't even post the bond. And the lawyer said that, well, somebody posted the bond for him because they thought he was innocent. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It smells like conspiracy to me.
It just kind of smells, a little fishy.
Mm-hmm.
That whole industry is fishy, is shady. It seems as if the industry wants the artists just to shut up and make money and stay muted. They don't. They can't have opinions. They can't question their money. And in order to be successful, it's like once you start to question, it's like, listen, buddy, you're either gonna behave or be quiet.
Right.
And the same thing happens with the sports as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, should we talk about Colin? I mean,
yeah. What did that lady tell LeBron? Shut up and dribble.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's what they want. As soon as you start to question a little bit.
Yeah.
I was watching he's not a famous, he was a rapper back in the days, and he was doing an interview, and he said, he went platinum. He said after he went platinum, he says it was 3 doors. He was like, the door on the left, the door in the middle, and the door on the right. He said the door on the left was like some homosexual nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
The door on the right was a sacrifice. He said he chose the door in the middle just to go straight and mind his business. And he said he never went platinum again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And intelligence and maturity goes a long way. And I say that because after you reach a certain level, there's certain places you don't go anymore.
Right.
Right.
You don't hang out in certain spots. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. But after I got married, it was just certain things I didn't do anymore, and it was certain places I didn't go anymore. You know what I mean? Certain people I didn't hang out with anymore. Because I don't belong there anymore. And when you reach a certain level, certain status, there's certain places you don't belong anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because and then too, I mean, sometimes people that you love and you trust, like when it gets down to money, people can get real funny. So when stuff starts feeling strange and funny, you can't just ignore that.
Mm-mm.
Should we go back to Cain and Abel? Like, how far do we need to go back? How far we need to go back on this? Anyway, all right, y'all got anything else on that before I move on to Shaquella Robinson?
Mm-mm.
All right. Okay. So this girl, she's in college, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She goes to Mexico with 6, I think it was 6 of them, including her. She talks to her mom. I think it was October the 28th. She talks to her mom. Everything's fine. She goes take a nap. Then her friends come in her room. 2 friends are recording. This other girl basically was like beating her. And I wouldn't advise anybody to watch the video because it's really painful, very painful to watch. But my thing with this, if you do watch the video, this girl is not only is she not fighting back, she's not even blocking herself. Which I wonder if they did the date rape drug, not to rape her, but to make her out of it. Because she's not trying to even defend herself. Our natural instincts is to defend us. Right. She would at least be covering her head or something. This girl is beating her, and so they told them, the medics at the villa. So they did call the medics, and they said she had alcohol poison, and she was just basically, not doing well. The medics actually supposedly looked at her, which is another whole strange story because they looked at her and they basically was just like, okay, well, maybe send her to the hospital. And her friends was just like, no, we're not going to take her to the hospital. So they basically said it was alcohol poison, and they went on about their merry way. Well, the friend called the mom and told the mom she wasn't doing well, alcohol poison. Then they called the mom back and said, she had passed. They leave her. They leave her in Mexico. They take her things to her mom's house. And then they proceed to tell her mom what happened. The mom's like, all of their stories, it was something different about all of their stories. So she's just like, no, something's not right. But by this time, videos had started circulating because, again, they recorded it. And then on the video, you can hear one of the guys saying, well, Quella, are you not going to at least fight back? Friends.
Right.
So then she's like, something's not right. She does her own FBI investigation. Then come to find out that she basically had a broken neck. Where the atlas is, which is like the first bone in your spinal cord, the vertebrae. So she had a broken neck, and she basically had a broke back. On the videos, it confirmed that because that's where the girl was hitting her. She was basically sitting down. The girl was behind her and was hitting her, and her head was like bobbing. So that would make sense that, yeah, she broke her neck. Again, she was not trying to fight back. That's why I say that she was drugged up. They said there was no alcohol in her system. So, okay. Anyway, and the Mexico authorities did issue a warrant for the girl's arrest. Darjane, what's her name? Dejanay Jackson. But no arrests have been made. From what I hear, all of them have they're in hiding. But where are they hiding? And who's hiding them? So that's another story. Her dad was just like, her friends back home would have never let this happen. And one of her friends back home, she said, well, it's sad that she really thought that they were her friends. I think for me, especially with girls going on trips, or even if my son went on a trip, that's scary for me because people don't use the intuition anymore either. When people start acting funny, we ignore that way too much. We let stuff slide way too much because people say crazy stuff to you and you just let it slide because I'm like, no, I've been knowing them, no, we're cool.
That's not what they meant. No, we're good. Yeah.
Right. We justify it. And then we keep giving them second chances. I think that we, in light of this situation, we just as people in general need to stop letting stuff slide because there's no way they didn't show her something way before this trip.